There's an agreement that Class N liquor license shall be available to this development that will allow for the package sale of alcohol to be consumed off-site. The developer will also have the availability of a video gaming license that will allow the operation to have video gaming terminals. The ordinance, as currently stated, requires that the business to be in operation for 6 months prior to the video gaming application to be submitted. It also requires that the developer and the owners are aware that there's a recapture agreement that was put on and recorded against the property for MLRP Lockport Land LLC, because MLRP actually improved the area with infrastructure improvement that benefits those two properties. The developer would also have to construct and maintain a pump station, not a pump sump, but pump station, and make improvements along Gauger Road. So the annexation agreement, along with the companion annexation ordinance, will be presented to the City Council, soon after our committee of the whole meeting for a public hearing. And at this time, if there's any questions, I will be more than happy to answer them.
I don't have any questions, but this is a really good location. I like it because it's not around any houses. It doesn't impact anybody, but I still want it on an action item.
It is a public item. It's an action item.
As Sunny said,
Yeah.
this will be presented as part of the public hearing at tonight's City Council.
Yes.
And voted on.
Yeah, there's, because of the time constraint in which there's a purchase contract for those two parcels, the agreement calls for that if the properties do not close, the developer doesn't purchase those properties by August 7th of this year at the latest, the agreement will not be in effect. So it requires them to do that, and tonight is the public hearing with the notification of the public hearing already published.
Okay, we're good with that? Any more questions?
Okay.
Okay, so that will be voted on in the City Council meeting. CD1, Lance?
Thank you. Leonard McInerney is the owner of Gas and Wash and the contract purchaser of the 4.5-acre consolidated property that Sunny was just mentioning. I have it on the screen also in yellow. They are seeking approval of final development plans for a new gas station. The submittal includes rezoning from the R2 single-family unincorporated Will County to C3 highway commercial with the city of Lockport. There's also a special use permit for a gas station, preliminary and final development plan review, and a final re-subdivision plat for the consolidation of the two lots. Subject property, as Sunny mentioned, is located on the southwest corner of Gauger and 143rd Street. Concept plan for the project was approved in October of 2022. Subsequent to that, the developer and the city staff have been refining the plan and working through all the details. What you see on your screen is the final site plan. It illustrates a new 6,500 square foot proposed commercial building for the convenience store with a drive-through, and a 4,900 square foot commercial building for the car wash with vehicle queuing. Here's it in black and white. Full ingress and egress will be provided to and from Gauger Road on the south, with an ingress only for trucks. So just to orient you on the site plan, north is to your left, south is to your right, east is to the top of the screen, and west is to the bottom of the screen. If I rotate it, it gets too small and you can't see it, so we rotated it this way. Some new truck parking is shown on the plan, kind of in the southeast corner. You can kind of see where a parking area would be. Those are for the semis if they want to pull off and be able to go into the convenience store. We would still enforce our no overnight parking for those semis if they were to park there, but I did want to point that out because that is a change from what was in the concept plan. The item was heard, well, I'll go through the architecture components of it too. It is pretty much the same as what was presented at the concept plan. However, we did tweak a couple things related to some of the colors and materials. This will look much more like the Homer Glen store as far as not as much of the red and more of the tans, which we think is probably more appropriate for our community based on our limestone and the color palettes and all the things that we know Lockport for. This is the elevation for the gas station. This is a general appearance for what it will look like. These are the site signage that would be out there for both the gas as well as the car wash. And this item was heard by the Planning and Zoning Commission at their regularly scheduled meeting on June 13th. The Planning Commission voted 7-0 to adopt staff's finding of facts and recommend approval of the special use permit. There is a condition about the sign exhibit being that we'll need a separate sign permit. It's a consistent condition that we always put on things. And then secondarily, also by a vote of 7-0, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to recommend approval of the preliminary and final development plans and the re-subdivision plat. With that, I will turn it back over to you for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? And again, this will be voted on in the city council. Okay, so now we're back to...
Real quick, Lance, on the southern boundary and the western boundary of that property, there's a big enough change in grade going up that hill that it's going to be kind of not buried, but there's going to be pretty significant walls on both the western boundary and the...
So on your screen, if you look on that right edge, it might actually be easier to see on this. If you see the line that has kind of the dots that run along it, that is I think it's about a 10-foot tall retaining wall with a fence on the top. There are a number of different retaining walls on the property. One of the circulation modifications that we did make between concept and final plan was to actually reverse the semi-truck entry and exit for a couple of reasons. It really helped us out on the Gauger Road intersection and entrance and egress from Gauger Road, but it also helped from a neighbor's standpoint to have the trucks be turning south and take their headlights with them south as opposed to going north and shining their headlights into the neighbors to the south. It may not have been visible, but given the slope change on the site, that truck area parking and the truck circulation is about 8 feet higher than the adjacent property. So there's a retaining wall that's there too, along with a fence on top of that. We did go through and do all the fencing that was requested at Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, as well as rework the photometrics to make sure that we had 0-foot candles and all house side shields on the what would be the west side of the project as well.
Thanks.
Anything else? All right, Lance, you're up again. CD2.
Thank you. This is a request from the city to initiate a rezoning of the subject property that you see on your screen from R2 single family to RO Heritage Residential District for the property located at the southwest corner of 7th Street and Madison Street. Purpose of the rezoning is to match the zoning to the surrounding and abutting property. There is no new development proposed at this time. The item was heard by the Planning and Zoning Commission at their meeting on June 13th as well. Staff presented the report. There were a couple property owners that attended the meeting. However, they were concerned that there was development occurring, and that once we kind of identified that there was no development proposed, they were okay with that response. No one objected to it. So by a vote of 7-0, the PZC made a recommendation to the City Council to approve this item. It's related to Ordinance 23023.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I had one. The property being rezoned, did I read something to whereas the property owners on, is that 8th Street?
Yes.
Would then have the ability to expand their lot onto that parcel?
Correct. So if you look on your screen, you'll see parcel 1, parcel 2, and parcel 3. The parcel 2 and parcel 3 will be consolidated with the townhome unit that is on 8th Street or on 8th Street there. The reason for that is with the creek running through the site, there's really no use for the, what would be the southwest portion of the site from the city standpoint. It takes a little bit of a maintenance burden off of us, but it also doesn't put those parcels that they would have in the floodplain. So that's the reason why we worked through this.
So the folks that live in front of that would be purchasing that parcel from the current landowner?
Us.
We actually conveyed them.
Yeah,
It
we-
was done last year. Parcel 2 and 3 were conveyed to the adjoining parcels. The city had, actually bought the parcel 1 from
Right.
the owner. Yeah.
Yeah. So those parcels have been conveyed to the townhome owners at this time. This is simply to rezone those so we don't have a split zoned lot on them.
Anything else? You okay with the consent on the August 2nd? Okay. PW1, Brent.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This evening, have a couple items on the agenda. First is PW-1. This is in regards to our I&M Canal. If you have noticed, up and down the I&M Canal, there are a number of outfalls, so basically the downstream end of storm sewer and/or minor swales that outfall into the I&M Canal. Over time, those have eroded away. There's some scouring, there's some issues that have arisen along the banks. With this project, what we will do is we will go through and identify those locations for specific improvements. HR Green has already identified each individual location. This is taking it the next step, which is actually putting a design to each of the outfalls, getting all of the permitting, which if you read through the document, there are a number of permitting requirements when we're dealing with water and we're dealing with IDNR and several other public agencies. So what this project will do will be to get this construction ready, taking it through all of those permitting items. And the positive news on this is that Ben was able to, and working some of his magic, was able to secure some funding for this project. And so this piece is something we have to do in order to take advantage of that construction funding. So this $34,015, it's something that we've been entertaining, we've been thinking about it, it's been on the B list, it's been something that's been a high priority for us. But once we were able to get this funding for the construction, roughly, I want to say it's about $100,000, is that correct, Ben? Then we wanted to make sure we could take full advantage of that. So this evening, I asked for council's consideration to move forward with this design and permitting. It's a resolution number 23-058. This would be to accept a proposal for the I&M Canal Outfall Improvement Engineering Services from HR Green, Inc. For a total not to exceed $34,015, and would be asking for consideration to move to consent.
Questions? Everybody okay with consent?
No, I'm a little confused then. So the 200,000 at the very end for the whole project, is that what we're estimating this to, if we repair all these, would cost then? Or do we then design, so where's the 200,000 at the very end come up from?
I think the 200,000 was what our initial estimate was, so that's going back just based on trying to find a all-encompassing number. So this will get us obviously much more detailed. We'll have cost estimates following this that are much closer. But I guess I can't guarantee that the 100,000 will be take care of everything, but
I just recall, it's 190.
Okay.
The grant was 190, so if it's 200, 210, we may have to add 10 or 20,000, but.
Yeah, I mean, well, HR Green has this dated February of 2022.
Yeah.
And their estimated cost about 190,
Yeah.
199,754.
Right.
So we do have then most of it.
Yeah.
And again, that was based on a concept, so I just want to make sure everybody clear. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
that's why we're
essentially
doing this part.
doing a quick walk down the I&M Canal, approximately. So that's where I don't want to throw those numbers out there and until we get, this will get us to that dollar amount.
Thank you.
Are we okay with consent? Thank you. PW2, Brent just asking for more money.
Yes, well, now you make me feel bad. Well, annually, we do a stormwater project. We have budgeted, at least since 2017, we've been looking at annual stormwater projects. Prior to my time here, I know we did for a number of years as well. The positive news is that we've been able to secure a $20,000 grant each year from our Will County Stormwater Committee, and we're hoping again to do that. But what this job does is if you drive 163rd Street after any amount of rain, close east of Farrell, west of Gallagher, you'll see there's some water ponding, not only in the ditching and the shoulders, but actually on the road. There's some heavy-duty potholes. There's some issues that we have in that area. So what we're looking to do is in that vicinity, so a couple hundred feet east and west of Pioneer Parkway, we are looking to add some storm sewer, regrade some ditching, extend some culverts, and get that area in much better shape than it is today. We have worked with Baxter and Woodman for the last several years on our stormwater projects, so we're looking to proceed with them again. This year, we're asking for $53,980 to do the phase 1, 2, and 3. So this will take us from the environmental through the actual design of phase 2, and then the phase 3, which is our construction engineering, so they will be doing those services. We did budget $65,000 for these engineering services in 2023. We are hopeful that we'll be able to get this completely designed and out to bid and constructed in 2023. We're able to, knock on wood, we've been able to do that the last several years based on the same schedule, and we're expecting that to be done as well. So, asking for council's consideration this evening for resolution number 23-059 to accept the proposal for 163rd Street drainage improvements for Baxter and Woodman, Inc., not to exceed fee of $53,980, and looking for council's consideration on consent this evening.
Questions? Are we okay with consent? Okay, thank you. PW3, Brent, you're up again.
Thank you. 3 and 4 are both regarding Prologis and the release of bonds, so release of our sureties. So as you're all aware, when a new development comes in order to do work in the city, they've got to secure basically a financial backing that will ensure if they were to walk away without completing the project or to have a major failure with one of their pieces of infrastructure, gives us the assurance and our residents the assurance that we can go in and make things right. So this evening we have a couple buildings that have been recently done. The first one is Building 4. All of the improvements have been inspected. All of the improvements we are recommending this evening to be accepted by the city. This is always contingent upon us receiving a 10% one-year bond. So we give them back the existing surety bond, which in this amount, or this case, is $1,572,744.47. We would get a 10% one-year maintenance bond. So that would replace that bond, and then we release the other, provided you all agree this evening, and we get that contingency bond. So asking for council's consideration, approve resolution number 23-060 to release the bond for the Prologis Building 4 site, and this would be contingent on the city receiving the 12-month maintenance guarantee from the developer for 10% of the original amount of the bond, and asking for council's consideration for this to move forward on consent.
Any questions? Now, can we do both buildings at once, or they have to be separate?
Probably separate since they're
Okay.
two
Are we
separate
okay with 4?
resolutions.
Okay, then PW4, Building 6.
PW-4, moving forward with the identical situation, Prologis Building 6. So I would be asking for council's consideration to approve resolution number 23-061 to release the bond for Prologis Building Site 6. And this is contingent on the city receiving the 12-month maintenance guarantee from the developer for 10% of the original bond amount of the bond, and would be asking for council's consideration for consent this evening.
Questions? Are we okay with consent? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any new business? Any open floor comments? Can we get a motion to adjourn meeting?
Second.
Joanne and JR? Thank you.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry. Do we need a little time before the next meeting?
Just a minute.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call, Kathy?
You got it. All right, Pugh.
Present.
McDonald. Here. Galogly.
Here.
Deskin.
Here.
Bergbauer.
Here.
Bartleson.
Here?
Saban.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Okay, gotta be like Steve. Okay, my friends. So can I get a motion to have a consent agenda?
So moved.
JR and Pat?
Who seconded?
Pat.
Thank you, Pat.
Okay, so the following items are on the consent agenda. Item CL1 is the approval of the committee of the whole meeting minutes from June 21st. CL2 is the approval of the regular city council meeting minutes from June 21st. Item FN1 is the approval of payroll periods ending June 25th and July 9th. Item FN2 is the approval of bills through July 11th, 2023. Item CD1, the approval of the facade and site improvement grant request for 902-904 South State Street in the amount of $7,505 for exterior facade improvements. Can I get a motion to approve these items on consent? So moved. Joanne and Christina?
I'm sorry.
All approved?
Roll call.
Oh, do it, I'm sorry.
I got you. Pugh.
Yes.
McDonald. Yes. Galogly.
Yes.
Deskin.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
Yes.
Bartleson.
Yes?
Saban.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so now we move on to the public hearing. PH1 is the annexation agreement of an annexation ordinance for the Gas and Wash development to be located southwest corner of 143rd and Gauger Road. We hold a public hearing and take a vote at the annexation agreement meeting. So now I read that.
You're supposed to read it, the red.
Okay. As required by state law governing annexation agreements, the public hearing is to be held to consider the annexation agreement to annex approximately 4.5 acres of land located southwest corner of 143rd Street and Gauger Road in unincorporated Will County for the proposed development of Gas and Wash. After a motion to open the public hearing passes,
I'll make the motion to open the public hearing.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay, thank you. So, all in favor of the motion?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank Thank you. As stated in the committee of the whole meeting, the terms of the annexation agreement was outlined. The parcel in question, southwest corner of 143rd Street and Gauger Road, will be annexed in, rezoned from R2 unincorporated Will County to C3 Highway, Commercial Highway, City of Lockport, with a special use for gas station development. And the agreement will also approve the final development plans and the final re-subdivision plan. As stated earlier, Class 1 liquor license will be available. Also, the appropriate video gaming license will be available as prescribed on the City of Lockport video gaming ordinance. The recapture fees would have to be paid within 30 days of the approval of the final development plan, and the developer would have to construct and maintain a pump station as well as making improvements along Gauger Road. If there are any further questions, just for the record, the publication of this notice of tonight's meeting was done June 28, 2023, as prescribed by the Illinois state statute, well within the 15 to 30 days prior to this hearing. If there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to entertain them, but at this time, it would be for any public comments in opposition or in support of the annexation agreement.
Any comments or questions? Okay, so then we motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion to close.
JR?
Second.
And Pat? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
then
so
it-
now we're going to do another motion to approve resolution number 23-057, approving the annexation agreement.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Jaren and JR? All in favor?
Oh, that's actually a roll call vote.
Sorry.
All right, Pugh,
Yes.
McDonald. Yes. Galogly.
Yes.
Deskin.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
No.
Bartleson.
Yes.
And Saban.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And so now we have a motion to approve ordinance number 23-022, annexing the property into the city.
I'll make that motion.
Darren,
Second.
JR? Roll call?
You got it. Pugh,
Yes.
McDonald. Yes. Galogly.
Yes.
Deskin.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
No.
Bartleson.
Yes.
Saban.
Yes.
Motion passes.
So now, can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
Oh, actually, that was already done, and
Oh,
those
sorry.
two items
Then
were...
that was on here
yep.
twice.
So
Sorry about that.
we go to the rezoning Lance's item.
Okay, so then we have a motion to close the public hearing.
You already
You
did.
you already
Did
did.
that. Okay. More notes. It's on here like... Okay, so can I get a motion to approve resolution 23-057? Approving the
actually-
annexation?
It could be a motion to approve both ordinance number 23-021 for the rezoning and special use, and the resolution number 23056 approving the final development plan and the final re-subdivision plat.
Okay, so
I make that motion to approve both.
JR? Second. Pat? Roll call?
All right, that was Pat, was the second?
Pat.
Next? Okay. You're so quiet, just saying. Okay. Pugh,
Yes.
Karas, sorry, he's not here. McDonald. Yes. Galogly.
Yes.
Deskin.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
No.
Bartleson.
Yes.
And Saban.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so we're all done with that, right? So moving on to CD1, which is Lance.
That was CD one.
The next item is
FN one.
1, ordinance authorizing the
Oh, FN1.
2023 GO bond sale. That will be,
Lance again, though.
no, Lisa. Lisa.
Thank you. This morning, we held the auction for the bond sale, and the lowest bidder came in at an interest rate of 3.449%. That's the true cost. So we're looking for about $2 million that gets repaid from property tax dollars. So the total amount of the debt plus the interest is $2,125,000. and that will also cover the costs of selling the bond. Any questions? No? Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to approve the ordinance, which is 23-062.
I make the motion to authorize the 2023 GO bond sale.
I'll second that.
Darren and Christina? Roll call?
Got it. Pugh.
Yes.
McDonald. Yes. Gallogley.
Yes.
Deskin.
Yes.
Bergbauer.
Yes.
Bartleson.
Yes?
And Saban.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, anything else? Can we get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
JR? Second. And Jonathan?
All in favor?
Yay.
Oh,